Guitar and music theory aren't always the best of friends. In fact, if you pick up a guitar, learn half a dozen chords and you've got a decent singing voice, you're a gigging musician. You can just learn half a dozen chords, E minor, G, D, A minor, C, or whatever it is, B7. You've got all these shapes, and that's what it's all about. It's about shapes. Now that is one reason why guitarists don't tend to learn the theory until perhaps a bit later, if at all. Now that's nothing to do with the guitarist's intelligence whatsoever, it's just the nature of the instrument. It's quite abstract in nature, whereas the piano that I've got here that's set up, if you know about the guitar strings on the piano, it makes a bit more sense, and you can get some of the music theory under your belt which will allow you to do things like joining in on other groups, or you can play some sessions in the studio, or you can work in an orchestra bit, or whatever it is you want to do. You can get that just with a little bit of theory that then snowballs. You're starting with the edge pieces of your jigsaw and then moving inwards. Let's have a look. On the other camera, I've got the piano keyboard laid out, and I'm going to show you first of all where the strings are on the piano, because I think this is really important. You can also tune your guitar using a piano, which gets you more used to the keyboard layout, because this is all sequential and actually makes music theory much easier to learn. So with 6th string of E, that's all right. Then the next string is an A, so that's your 5th string. Then you've got a D, which is your 4th string on the guitar, then a G, and then a B, and then an E. So if I look at the layout of the strings on the piano, you can see that they're all the same distance apart, except those two. So the 2nd and 3rd strings, we've got a slightly smaller gap. If you had all the same gap, you'd have this. Oh. Yeah, you'd end up with this. It'd be virtually impossible to play any chords at all. So, in music, you're always going to get a little correction somewhere along the line. So, let's start with an E chord. I've got 2nd fret on the 5th string, the 4th string, and then 1st fret on the 3rd string. How does that work with a piano then? Because we can start to work out what notes are in this chord. This is an E chord, or E major. And this is an E minor chord, where you just take your finger off. You think, well, what's happening here? Because actually, when it's all about just changing a shape or taking a finger off the fretboard, it doesn't always make musical sense. So, on the 5th string and the 4th string, we've got a 2nd fret note on both strings there. So what's actually happened is the A string and the D string have actually risen by 2 half steps. Now, just as an aside, the guitar fretboard, if I was to go up in half steps, if I use the 5th string from the A and kept going, it would be this, where you're actually going using the black notes along the way, and that's the smallest possible distance you can get. So my E chord then, my A has turned into a B, my D has turned into an E, and my G has turned into a G sharp. If I was to take all of my fingers off, the notes would change. That's all my open strings on the guitar. The A became a B because it went up 2 half steps or 2 frets. The D became an E because that also went up 2 half steps or 2 frets. And the G became a G sharp. It's only 1 half step there, or 1 fret. Now E minor is just a finger taken off. What you've actually done is taken the 1st fret note and made it 0 instead. So that G sharp has dropped to an open string. So we end up with this. That was your E chord, and E minor has become that. So on guitar it can be relatively simple. If I play an F chord, which is a bar chord at 1st fret, if I went to 2nd fret, I've got an F sharp major chord. all the black notes on a piano. And you get mixtures of white and black notes on the piano. So it's easy to see why a guitarist can find this much, much easier and with virtually no theory at all, whereas a pianist has to know a bit about it in order to proceed. So it's worth just having a keyboard. You can buy the little sort of digital piano or a keyboard from a supermarket or a charity shop or anything for a few tens of pounds, euros, dollars, whatever. And it means that you can really get used to the layout. The guitar, the problem with the guitar is you can play this E in many different positions, whereas on the piano, that's it. That's the E, that's all you get. The E is always the white note that's just to the left of the two black notes. And it's in alphabetical order. So, if you know where one note is on the piano, you can work out where the rest are. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and E. The black notes can be called two different things, unfortunately. Sorry. The E major chord has got a G sharp in it. Some people might say, well, it's A flat. A flat is the black note that's just to the left, and a sharp is the black note that's to the right. Actually, it's all about the alphabet really when you're dealing with scales. That's why you can have these differences. But there we go. There is an intro to how this and this match up. Do this enough, you'll start playing the piano as well.